Good morning. Call the board meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good morning. Consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Move agenda, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chachka. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Environmental Services. Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Mark.
I have two items for your consideration this morning. Item E is consider approving conditional use permit 25-02 as requested by April Frankie to construct a second dwelling on her parent property, Marlon Frankie, for the purpose of family care due to aging and recent health issues. This property is 27.19 acres in size and located in the southwest quarter of Section 32 in Bergen Township. The Bergen Township Board recommended approval on February 12, 2025. The McLeod County Planning Commission recommended approval on February 26, 2025 with the following conditions. Number one, the second family care dwelling shall be a modular or manufactured dwelling. Number two, the second dwelling shall be removed or the existing farm dwelling will need to be removed once the assistance is no longer needed. Number three, an annual letter from a licensed physician shall be submitted to the McLeod County Environmental Services to continue the use of the second dwelling. We have received the family care letter from the physician stating the need for the assistance, and the applicant originally had proposed that this modular structure would be placed on the south side of the building site, but after looking at that, they are now wanting to place that, if approved, on the building site so it will not interrupt with any of the ag land that surrounds the property.
And Mark, this is a loaded question, but this is consistent what we've done with other similar requests.
Yes, that is correct.
Commissioner Kruger,
I move to approve conditional use permit 25-02.
is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmalz. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, as you stated previously, it sounds like it's very consistent with what we've done with several other requests like these. So appreciate the commission looking into it and studying the application. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I could just clarify, does that motion include the three conditions that are listed under item A, Mr. Kalicki?
Thank you. I took it as it did. Commissioner Kruger?
I had assumed that it was in with the permit, so, but if not, yes.
And
With the
concur.
recommendations of the planning commission.
All right. The motion and the second are in agreement to that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B.
Item B is also a conditional use permit, and that is to consider a request from Bridget Bethke Pinder of Crystal, Minnesota to approve conditional use permit 25-01 to construct an accessory structure about 4,000 square feet, proposed to be a pole shed on a parcel without a primary structure. The property has two 10 by 40 pod containers, and they are requesting or asking to put up 10 greenhouses to grow hemp, vegetables, and flowers. This property is zoned agricultural. It is 18 acres in size. It's located in Section 8 of Hutchinson Township. The Hutchinson Township Board recommended approval on February 13th, 2025. The McLeod County Planning Commission recommended denial on February 26th, 2025 due to the following findings of fact. Number one, the request is not in harmony with the general purpose of the area. Number two, intensification of activity of this use would lead to direct conflict with the neighbors. And number three, home occupation would not be allowed due to the fact that there is no dwelling on this property. The closest neighboring house, located at 17969 240th Street, Hutchinson, Minnesota, is 265 feet from the post-construction of this request. With that being said, if I may just take a few minutes to talk about, what the Planning Commission looks at in regards to criteria in issuing a conditional use permit. And Section 17 of the zoning ordinance talks about the creation of findings. And so the Planning Commission has to look at several factors in regards to a conditional use permit. Under subdivision 7 of section 17, number 2, that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the immediate vicinity. Number 3, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant to the area. Number 4, the adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Number 5, the adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use. And number 6, the adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. That authority through ordinance that is granted to the county board comes directly out of state statute 394.301, and it states the same in regards to what the board may impose. And the last, under subdivision 2 of that particular statute citation, it states, in connection with ordering the issuance of a conditional use permit, the designated approval authority may impose such additional restrictions or conditions as it deems necessary to protect the public interest, including not limited to matters related to appearance, lighting, hours of operation, and performance characteristics. With that being said, McLeod County Section 16 does have a pretty comprehensive section of performance standards, so that was the basis of review from our Planning Commission.
All right, very good. Any questions for Mark? I will note, it's obviously in the district that I represent, and this one and another one that I'll at least bring up in my report. I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks looking into that, and with all of the ordinances that are in place, it's hard to go outside of what we have that right now. So I'm going to move to deny the permit. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
You know, and as you stated, that the ordinance is defined pretty well at the county level, but is there a way that the applicant can somehow continue research on putting something like this in, even if it's not on this parcel? I mean, we want to be friendly to economic development. I mean, that's the way I look at this. But are there options available to the applicant, even though this one doesn't fit?
So to answer that question, it's really up to the applicant to look to see what property is available for the purpose of the intensification of use that they're asking for. So there are several parcels that may or may not be, in conflict with the neighboring properties. And when we've seen some of these in the past, specifically for an accessory buildings for business use, they aren't typically adjacent to a neighboring dwelling, to a residential property. And I don't want to use that term residential property concretely, because the property that's adjacent is zoned agricultural, but it is a house. And it's a small parcel that is zoned agricultural, but used primarily as rural residential residence. So that's where, when not speaking for the Planning Commission, the discussion that came out of that meeting, there was concern in regards to the scale that the applicant was proposing, that it potentially would be injurious to that property owner and the enjoyment of their use. So again, is there areas? Yes, I would say yes. But they're looking at this specifically through the lens of the property in question.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
All right, any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Go ahead, Mark.
There is, the applicant is present if you would like to hear from them.
Of course.
He is,
You can, we'll let Commissioner Wright make his comments, and then why don't you work your way to the microphone? Commissioner Wright?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. I mean, when a motion to deny obviously needs a lot more reasons than a motion to approve sometimes, but after seeing the 3 reasons in place, and I see number 3, home occupation, not allowed, there's no dwelling on the property. Sometimes that's why things belong in commercial developments, where there's not a housing, there as well. So I do see the point that Planning Commission sent forward with these reasons, so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, over the last week, we've actually had an opportunity to talk to all the neighbors that showed up for the meeting at the county level last week over in Hutchinson. And we've come to an agreement with a lot of them to settle some of their worries. The adjoining property is actually at this point willing to sell us their property with the home on it, and we're just waiting on an appraisal to work through that process. I feel like we've gone through all the steps to be able to make all the surrounding properties happy, and we're more than willing to compromise with any of them on the details of the planning to make sure that it's not an eyesore or any of their concerns get addressed through the planning process. I guess I could just ask that you give us a chance, and you could always revoke it later, you know?
I think that's great. And congratulations, and thank you for the effort. However, I do think the permit as it stands today needs to be addressed. And I'm willing to hear from the attorney's office or the zoning department that I'm wrong, and that's fine if I am. But I think it's probably gonna be a new application process once all of these other things are addressed, properties acquired, and go from there. We're not trying to hold you back, but we also have some things that we have to consider in the totality of the circumstances.
I agree. And there's also a tight deadline with what's going on with licensing and all the type of stuff like that. We're expected by middle of April, we should be able to get plants in the ground and actually get this moving.
Okay,
Which would be beneficial for the entire county, honestly.
let me ask you this, how quick is this acquisition of property gonna occur?
Hopefully soon, but until the acquisition of property does occur, I think we have them calmed down and we've gotten to a good point that we're ready to move forward and all work together to make this happen.
Okay, that's great news, but I'm gonna be honest with you and look you in the eye and tell you I'm still concerned about this permit.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have any comment about what has just been brought up, or you can try to change my mind?
Nope, I appreciate those comments, because I would concur with that. If there is a change to the application, so they did acquire that house, that would change the application and the scope of this. So at that particular time, as staff, my recommendation would be that, act on this with the recommendation of the planning commission, that was for a denial, and if there is a change to the application, they have the right to come back for a new one.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes, and I have the same concerns. I'm sympathetic to your growing season, but I don't see, no matter what we do today, we can ease that, because I don't see it getting done. I don't want to stand in the way of these things either, but, and also we go through a lot of work to appoint a planning commission, and I don't want to overturn. They study this and have meetings specific to this permit, and I don't see anything today to where I'd want to get in between that. And if you happen to be able to go through with everything that you're working on, I mean, it would be my opinion to reapply.
And I think it's a completely different conversation if all those things that you brought up happen.
Mr. Chair, if I may, and I do concur with that. So I agree that regardless, you have the right, if they are willing to sign a waiver, but it still doesn't change it changes the application if they do acquire the property. So the nature of the application would change.
Yeah,
So you'd still be acting on this at some point unless they were to withdraw.
Yeah, as we sit and look at this permit as it stands, it
Mr. Chair.
stands separate than what you're planning to do. Yes, Mr. Commissioner Kruger?
And again, there must be a little bit of zoning or rules to make that a building site. I mean, to make that actually a home dwelling, even though you acquire that, and that, it just takes some time to get done. I'm sure it can be, but, so, I mean, that's one of the one of the problems that I had with it too, that there was no home dwelling there, so.
Anything else, sir?
No, I think that covers it.
No,
Thank
we-
you guys for your time.
I appreciate you coming up.
Absolutely.
All right, the motion is still to deny. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Public Works. Looks like Parks Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, John.
Requesting the board to consider approving an estimate for Parks tree trimming from JGS Enterprise LLC out of Stewart, Minnesota at a cost of $250 per hour, not to exceed a total cost of $75,000 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. As outlined in the parks plan, tree maintenance is a priority across all 6 county parks. Due to the scope of this project, it is necessary to hire an outside contractor with the required equipment and resources to perform the work. All trees in the open at all parks will be trimmed, along with any trees at the edge of larger wooded areas if deemed a safety concern. A second estimate was received from MC Tree Service out of Hutchinson, Minnesota at a cost of $365 per hour.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Chachka. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, it just looks like we're making good use of local contractor for these dollars.
Very good. Commissioner Schmalz?
Yeah,
Sorry, Don.
I'll echo what Commissioner Wright stated. I'm glad we have local contractors involved with the process. The question I have for John is that I saw one itemized possible use of chipper or any other estimate I think was leaving the trimmings on the ground near the base of the trees. Can you explain what the plan is versus the two quotes you took?
Yep, so neither will be doing any of the chipping. We will have either our own staff or Sent to Serve do some of that training, so they'll be just dropping them, laying them on the ground, and then we'll come and chip them and haul it away.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kruger?
John, I had a question on, or need a clarification. The one, the estimate that we're taking that we're presumed to be taking, the low one, has a not to exceed of 75,000. Was that conveyed to that second bid? I mean, I don't want somebody to come later and say I could have, stayed under that 75,000. It's kind of splitting hairs, but I have had those calls before.
If they were both aware of the cap?
Yes.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B, consider approving payment to McLeod County Ag Association toward the purchase and installation of public address system at a cost of $7,261.62 with funds from Fairgrounds capital budget. Public address system is needed with the recent construction of Century Hall. The McLeod County Ag Association was awarded a grant to be used towards the purchase and installation of a system that will connect Century Hall, the goat sheep building, swine building, and the poultry building. This will be used during the McLeod County Fair for the small animal judging. The equipment will also be used throughout the year for various rentals at Century Hall. The total cost of the equipment and installation is $12,111, with the Ag Association paying for $4,849.38.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
This is just part of kind of the sharing of resources and a combined effort between what the county and the Ag Association work on. And a lot of it is around, of course, the construction of the Century Hall. So move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Schmalz, go ahead.
And John, I mean, I've only been in the facility one time, and that was when we did our ribbon cutting ceremony. And if there was one thing that I thought was inadequate, it was the public address system. It might have been where I was sitting, but is this going to improve the situation that we have in Century, in the new building right now?
No, but if I can have the people that are doing finishing the install on it to look at the angle of the speaker, sometimes that makes a difference. So we can have them check out the different zones within the building to make any adjustments if need be.
Commissioner Smalls, I will add to what John's response was here. That was the first time that PA system had been used, so we are still learning and getting everything dialed in on it. So.
And the engineer was on the board, so we're not sure if he had the volume right. Commissioner Kruger?
Just being Commissioner Schmalz commented, I mean, we have to also, it's not just in that building, it's when the show, I had kids showing small animals, and I've been to some small animal shows. We have to make sure that PA, and I'm sure you're well aware that PA covers the show days too. I mean, obviously, that's one of the more important parts of this, so.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Before you run away, John
Yep.
or Andrew, as far as the mats or the protection for the floor regarding the fair and the animals, are we still looking into the prices for that? Andrew nodding his head, so.
So we did look in pricing for the mats, at our last Fairgrounds Commission, meeting. We were possibly going a different route, with, I believe, ag lime, with, some shavings over the top to see how that would work this year. So we might test that out this year versus purchasing
I think
mats.
it's just important, it's a dual-use building, which we're all in favor of, but it's also important to protect the investment for all the uses.
For sure.
All right. All right, item C.
Item C, consider approving writing off 3 small outstanding receivable amounts equaling $984.06 that the county is unable to collect. We have 3 outstanding receivables that we were unable to collect in 2024, I believe, 2023 or 2024. It is cost prohibitive for us to send these to collections, so we're looking for approval to write these off. This has been done in the past, but we have not needed to do that in recent years.
Yeah, that was my thing. I don't really, I'm sure we've done it, but I don't remember it. So
I
this is
believe the
pretty
last
rare.
time was like 2017 or 2018.
Okay. Any questions for Andrew on this?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Andrew, I understand, what we're trying to do. I mean, or what has been tried as far as these collections? Has it been just a reminder letter? Has it been a letter from the attorney's office? Can you walk us through the scenarios that you've tried?
Yep, we send multiple invoices and reminders to the people with the outstanding invoices that they are delinquent on their invoices. But it seems to be cost prohibitive to take them to small claims court and to go that process.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Attorney, do you have any, I tend to agree, but I mean, you got any comments on that?
I mean, I don't have much to add. I mean, this is as much of a business decision as legal. I mean, small claims, there'd be the filing fees, and then whatever, staff time, any service that would be necessary. So, the smaller the outstanding fee or balance is, the less, the less it makes sense to pursue. So, nothing else. I mean, there's conciliation court. I mean, there are ways to seek this, but I mean, even if you were to get a, small claims court judgment, you'd still have the issue of collecting it.
That's correct.
So, I mean, you'd spend the time and effort getting the judgment, and we'd still have a collection issue.
Mr. Chair, when I first went through this, knee jerk is you don't really want to do it, but the names, I mean, obviously the names are in the packet, and there's no sense in spending more money, because through admin and bookkeeping, we just keep adding on, so I'd make a motion to, writing off, at lack of a better word, the uncollectibles.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item D, consider approving a joint powers agreement with the city of Winsted for the 2025 joint resurfacing project in Winsted. The city of Winsted is taking on to the project to do some water main repair work and will perform all the engineering and inspection work as well as pay for all the water main repair costs. This agreement defines the various rights, obligations, and cost sharing for the project. It is very similar to agreements that the county has done in the past. The city of Winsted approved this agreement at their February 18th, 2025 meeting.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Schmalz?
And Andrew, okay, what I'm seeing in front of me is it's specific to work on the water main. How about the storm sewer system under the road? I mean, is this a blanket agreement, or how are we looking at that?
Yep, so the storm sewer system, county staff inspected and made repairs on that last fall before this project in anticipation. So there's no storm sewer concerns at this time.
And Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And sanitary sewer, same concerns are being addressed. Are we involving any sanitary sewer work on
Nope.
under County Road 1?
There is no sanitary sewer work involved with this project.
Mr. Chair, I'll move request.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Chachka. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Consider awarding county projects CP 025000001 and county project CP 025000002, the 2025 pavement marking and seal coat project to Morse Seal Coat and Trucking, Inc. of Morse, Minnesota at a cost of $485,294.75 with funds from the highway construction budget. The engineer's estimate for the project was $587,050.84. Other bids received ranged from $516,000 to $550,000.
Any questions for Andrew?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Schmalz?
Andrew, does this bid involve any grinding? Are we doing any grinding with the pavement markings we're talking about?
Nope, this is all surface applied latex pavement markings.
Thank you.
I will note, we did see a considerable cost decrease from last year's pavement marking bid this year.
Any further questions? Or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Schmalz. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Consider awarding county project 025000005, the 2025 Route and Seal project to Camco Inc. of Dassel, Minnesota at a cost of $47,658.65 with funds from the highway construction budget. The estimate for this project was $77,180. You'll notice the packet posted online had two other bids. This has since been corrected. We are having issues with updating the packet online, but the packet printed here has three other bids that range from $53,000 to $81,000. This is to seal the cracks, route and seal the cracks on CASA 13, which is overlaid last year.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Item G is the 5-year highway construction plan. Just give me 1 second here to get the computer pulled up.
Yeah. Well, especially when they come in under the engineers to start. It's a little easier.
Thanks, I got.
Joe, you need water?
I'm fine, I have my soda, I appreciate it.
So this is the presentation on our 2025 5-year highway plan. This was brought to the board at a work session on January, I believe, 27th. So a little bit into our county highway system. So McLeod County has about 390 miles of total roadways. 255 miles of those are county state aid highways, with about 180 miles being bituminous, 75 miles are concrete surfaced. These are primarily funded by the county state aid highway or in the highway user distribution fund. We have about 135 miles of county roads, with 45 miles of those being bituminous and 90 miles being gravel. Those are primarily funded with property tax levy and formerly wheelage tax. We do have the local option sales tax that funds some projects that were listed with the ordinance enacted back in 2019, 2020. So a little background, the Highway User Distribution Fund is funded by the fuel tax revenue, license fees, motor vehicle sales tax, and auto parts sales tax. That is put into the total Highway User Distribution Fund. About 95% of that gets rolled out to the state's, the state trunk highway fund, the county state aid highway fund, and the municipal state aid street fund for cities. About 5% is split off for the township bridge account, township bridge account, town road account, and the flexible highway spending account. In 2024, McLeod County received about $6.7 million in our total county state aid allocation. Of that, 60% is construction, which is about $4.07 million, and 40% was maintenance, which is about $2.7 million. We do have a local option sales tax, which is a 0.5% sales tax on everything that is purchased in McLeod County. That was enacted in 2020. The original projection on that was about $1.8 million per year, with about 65% of that coming from residents and 35% coming from non-residents throughout non-residents of the county. Since then, our receivables have actually done really well and much higher than projected. As you can see, we've been growing from 2.4 million to about 3.2 million the last couple of years. Pavement management is about doing the right thing at the right time. So there's different triggers for when you do maintenance work versus major rehabilitation work versus doing reconstruction. It is much cheaper to do maintenance work, small maintenance projects, than it is to do major rehab or reconstruction work. So if we stay on top of things and we do a lot of minor maintenance, it's more cost effective than having to reconstruct roads or doing major rehabs all the time. That, unfortunately, with funding constraints, is not always feasible, so we do end up into a situation where we do have to let some roads go to a point where we've got all the value out of them, they are shot, and we do need to reconstruct or do a major rehab. Road construction activities, our estimated costs per mile and life expectancy. Seal coats are about $27,000 a mile. They're really a preventative maintenance with a 8 to 10 year life on them. Our minor bituminous rehabs, those are your thinner mill and overlays. Those range from $175,000 kind of average. They can be cheaper than that. They can be a couple $100,000 a mile. And those have, a 10 to 12 year lifespan depending on the road. Some we can get 20 out of, some we can get less out of. It all depends on the condition of the road. Major bituminous rehabs are about $360,000 a mile, and they're about a 15 to 20 year life expectancy. After that, you're able to push them along a little farther with a minor bituminous rehab, that type of thing. Concrete overlays are stepping up in price, and they're averaging right around that $700,000 to $750,000 a mile. Again, that all depends on the roadway width. what all we're dealing with, turn lanes, shoulder condition, shoulder width, all that stuff. But they're a 25 to 40-year life expectancy. And then you've got your rural reconstructions, which are about 1.7 million a mile, and our urban reconstructions, which are about 3.2 million a mile. So getting into the 5-year construction plan here. We'll start with 2025. Zoom out a little bit. 2025, we have 2 main projects on the schedule. We've got the County Road 1 concrete overlay from County Road 22 to the North County line. That project has been let. Kroll Link had that, and we got pretty good bid prices on that. The other project we have is the reconstruction of Hennepin Avenue from 13th Street to 20th Street in Glencoe here. We are just finishing up final plans and should be going out for bids here pretty quick. I will note I have MnDOT's projects for the district on this map as well. They will be installing crossovers on 212 near the Buffalo Creek Bridge in preparation for a bridge replacement project in 2026.
Andrew, is that a 2-year project? I mean, they're starting this year and then ending next year, is that right?
Yep, I believe so. Yep, they're building the crossovers this year so that they can get going right away next year on the bridges.
Andrew, a question, crossover? Is that where they build a roadway in the median?
Correct.
So that we can divert traffic from one side to the other?
Correct.
Thank you.
2026, we have a pretty comprehensive program in 2026. CSA 18 from Trunk Highway 15 to the Renville County line, that will be a concrete overlay. That is federally funded. We received regional solicitation funds for that through the ATP. So that will be happening. We have a minor bituminous rehab project on CSA 5 from CSA 2 to CSA 1, and a minor bituminous rehab on CSA 9 from CSA 7 to, or CSA 1 to Trunk Highway 7. We also have minor bituminous rehab on County Road 83. That's Hennepin Avenue. It's taking off from the reconstruction project to County Road 3. That is in conjunction, is being bid in conjunction with the reconstruction project of Hennepin Avenue. That will occur at the same time as they pave the wear lift, the final lift on Hennepin Avenue. And then we have County Road 57 down in Round Grove Township. That is a major bituminous rehab. At this point, we're looking at doing full depth reclamation with an overlay placed on top of that. MnDOT in 2026 will be constructing a roundabout at US 212 and Trunk Highway 5, and they will also be doing those bridges over the Buffalo Creek on 212.
That roundabout you just mentioned, Andrew, you said Highway 5, are you talking about?
Trunk Highway 15.
15?
15 and 212.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry. 2027, now we're starting to get out there a little bit. I will add, we do our best to try to plan things out, but funding changes over time and the board's priorities change over time. So kind of get a plan put on. The first 2 years are pretty solid. After that, things can shift around quite a bit. My goal in 27 was to start hitting major bituminous projects. In that County Road 18 project in 2026 will be our last concrete project for a while. And we're going to start trying to cover as many miles as we can a year. And then trying to group these into regions as best we can to get better bid prices. So in 2027, we have a major bituminous rehab of CSA 12 from CSA 7 to the North County line. Major bituminous rehab of County Road 60 from CSA 12 to CSA 19, that goes out past Piepenburg Park. And then a minor bituminous rehab of County Road 73 from CSA 12 to CSA 19. And we will The way the money's looking at this point, we will probably extend that to CSAH 20, which is from CSAH 19 to the county line with a minor bituminous rehab. (2028), we have minor bituminous rehab on County Road 61 from CSAH 7 up to County Road 60, as well as County Road 79. And then two major bituminous rehabs, one of County Road 62, which comes down from CSAH 25 down to County Road 70. And then a major bituminous rehab of CSAH 7 from where the concrete section ends down to 212 in Stewart. We get out to 2029 and things start to get pretty fuzzy. It's kind of some lines on the map at this point, but we'll know more in the next couple of years how funding lays out, see where we're at. But we've got gravel road upgrade of CSAH 60 or County Road 60 between CSAH 12 and Trunk Highway 5. We've got a major bituminous rehab of County Road 92 in Silver Lake. CSAH 25, a minor bituminous rehab from 212 to CSAH 26. Minor bituminous rehab of CSAH 33 from CSAH 2 to CSAH 1. And a minor bituminous rehab of CSAH 10 from CSAH 2 to the East County line. Our major rehabs are major rehab is on CSAH 7 south of Stewart from 212 to the South County line. And that is what I have. I'll take any questions.
Mr. Chair. Andrew, will you explain to us and the public what tools do you use, the methodology that you apply on how we prioritize when we spend the money on these roads?
Yep. So we have a pavement inspection vehicle that MnDOT runs. They run our roads every other year. We take that data, that gives us the ride data, smoothness of the road, as well as the surface defects on the road, essentially crack counts, crack types, crack severity, and then crack counts. Put that all in and look at that, look at traffic levels, look at priority routes, major traffic routes, and look at pavement age. All those things come into play when making these decisions.
Very good, Andrew. Thank you for that explanation. And also the one thing I didn't hear was crash data. Safety at some of these intersections is a criteria as well.
Yep. We try to tie crash improvement projects into our pavement rehab as much as we can. Rather than having one-off projects, we can try to eliminate that.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kruger?
Couple things here, Andrew. I got a kind of a coalition call the other day about County Road 1 being it's up for next year. There's the crossings in Winstead, the pedestrian crossing in Winstead. Is there something on that, on this new? I mean, the people were respectful, but they said it's a pathetic crossing, lack of a better word, but they had different words, but.
Yeah.
So is there anything we can do, or is there some way to sit down with the city or try to find funding or try to find a grant? Or, I mean, I'll be very honest, I'm not up to that. I mean, I go through Winstead, but I don't know of the crossing. They said it's inadequate.
There is no pedestrian crossing improvements proposed with our 2025 project. I'm open to sitting down with the coalition, the city of Winstead, and trying to come up with a plan for something. It may devolve into coming up with some sort of pedestrian plan or complete streets plan in order to be eligible for some outside funding. Some of those funding sources have those requirements, which we do not have either one of those plans at this time.
Again, admitting that I'm not really up to speed on that, is it outdated? I mean, that was part of the conversation, was if we could at least get new LED lights or a more modern light. The lighting was so poor. I mean, is there such a thing as maybe a simpler first step fix to,
Yep, our practice has been, we've done this with the city of Winstead, the city of Plato. Our practice has been that they make a request to me, I bring it to the board, we come up with the joint powers agreement. Our typical practice has been we joint share in the cost of the install and the maintenance over time, and then at the end of the life of the whatever mechanisms put up, we have to readdress how we're gonna approach it, so.
okay, thank you. My other question is, it's more of a comment. I noticed County Road 33 is way out to 29 or wherever I just seen here. Again, that's my district, so I'm shamelessly gonna be promoting to try to push that up, but with data. I see the traffic changing, 212's not even done yet, but I would ask that it be jotted down somewhere to watch traffic and crash counts and the data on that road, because traffic, I live out that way. Traffic's really changing. The amount of heavy trucks and even cars are changing their routes because of the roundabouts. I mean, they figured it didn't take long to figure out that if they want to go west, they come down 33 and up to the roundabout or into town. I mean, it's just simple stuff. And I know you got to go by numbers, but I think just by watching, I think the numbers will change. And it's not time yet to get good numbers because, as you well know, it's 212. I think that's going to change some things even more because to get an accurate, if we're going to go through it, we got to get an almost accurate count between County Road 3 and even Hennepin or all our arteries 1 and 9s, all of them. So, I mean, I just ask you to keep that in mind. 29 is a long ways out there. So, I mean, 33 is actually a pretty good road, except my complaints, and I drive it a lot, is it's narrow.
Yep, and that's why we have it on a minor rehab penciled in, is because it is in really good shape. Looking at any reconstructions and widenings and anything like that, we'll have to dig deeper into that. As you said, it is too soon to really develop the traffic pattern that may be changing, but we do periodically get traffic counts it's changing now. MnDOT was doing every 4 years. They were going to every 2 years. Now they're trying to push off to every 6 years. So
we may have to do them on our own even. Yep. I mean, just to stay, again, like I said, I'm watching as close as I can, but, and it takes data to get it done. All I'm really asking for is, and let the rest of the board know that I'm, 33 for my district's going to come up every now and then, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
And this will play into the comprehensive transportation planning that we are just starting to kick off, system-wide transportation plan that'll include, long-term pavement maintenance projects, any expansion projects or widening projects that can be foreseen on the horizon, anything like that. So.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Schmalz?
Yeah, and Commissioner Kruger brought it up about the pedestrian crossing in Winsted, and I'm part of that conversation as well, waiting for a proper response to those people who are concerned. And I think with what you've laid out this morning, that does help us and guide us through the process of, getting a pedestrian crossing that most people will be happy with. So it's not that I've ignored the communication or the process. I just want this process to play out in the proper fashion. Thanks, Andrew.
Yep. Commissioner Wright?
Yep. Andrew, why don't you answer?
Yep.
Got it, good. Just, I had a conversation with Andrew before the meeting on a couple of bridges that I'm watching in my district, but Andrew, do you just want to explain where we're at on some of the bridge replacement topics?
Yep. So currently, we try to utilize the state bridge bonds for our bridge replacement program. On county roads, they pay for 100% of the structure costs, and on CASA roads, they pay for 50% of the structure costs. So it's really pertinent to our budget to try to utilize that program. Currently, that program is out of money. It's been out of money going on 8 months now, I believe. There are some bills at the legislature right now that are that have bonding funds in there. So we'll see where that plays out. If there is not a bonding bill and there are no bridge replacement funds allocated, we'll have to meet as board and try to prioritize some of the stuff. We may have to fund some of these replacements 100% in-house.
Thank you.
And one last question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Andrew, Virgin Township, bridge over Buffalo Creek, I see we're not programmed in the 5-year plan, but is that a similar situation to what you just stated to Commissioner Wright, that, you know, the funding will drive whatever happens there?
Yep, I accidentally omitted the page with the bridges on here. That bridge is on the plan. We are working on finalizing the approach grading on that, and that will actually be eligible under the town bridge program, which does have money. So,
Thank you very much.
All right. All right, Andrew. Anything else?
nope,
All
I'm
right.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving to county administration, review of our calendars. Commissioner Kruger.
Okay, since our last meeting, or right at our last meeting, we did have a short JD8 meeting on trying to update some work there. And that evening, I had my first extension committee meeting. I have not been on extension before. I'm kind of excited to be on there because I do like to promote our fairgrounds and our young people. Then I also had a pipeline safety meeting on the 19th. We get invited. I'm sure kind of it's a mandated meeting to inform the public on the pipelines in the county, but it's been, I've gone for a number of years, and I was joined by Commissioner Chutzka this year, so I'll let her comment on it. But it's kind of good to be aware of where all the pipelines are in the county and all the stubs that are running to private people. Already, we had had a couple of Zoom meetings that for today I think I'm not going to get into. On the 24th, we had a county ditch 12A informational meeting. It was kind of the first meeting to kick off some work on a ditch in my district west of Glencoe, getting people together, and I see it's going to be probably an exciting year with that ditch for myself, trying to get the right thing done because of the costs are quite high. And then I went to the AMC conference this last week, 25th, 26th, and 27th. And my conference kicked off with our MRC meeting, which is Minnesota Rural Counties. Basically, being the legislature's behind, we didn't have the policymakers that we'd like to have speak, but we did go through a number. So when we went up to the Capitol the next day, we had conversations for our elected officials, but they were also very busy because their schedules are and probably will stay that way for a while. So, but we did manage to see ours, and that night on the 27th, I worked on the agenda review. Brings us to today. Thank you.
Paul?
Yep, on the 18th, as Commissioner Kruger has indicated, we had a county extension meeting. Pretty well an evening of updates from our staff, and I think our board is very well aware that we have some pretty neat people that run those programs, and our relationship with Wright and Meeker County as far as a tri-county function works very, very well. On the 19th, we had a MRF meeting. It was a lot of our program updates and budgets and setting up for a board workshop on these topics later on in March. The 26th, I did spend a day down at the legislative conference, had meetings with our Senator Grunhagen and House members Harder and Gilman. We were able to meet for a little bit. Sat in on House hearings with the Department of Health, a couple interesting topics, education on the shaken baby abuse, as well as perhaps funding curriculum on opioid addiction programming for the schools. On the 28th, we did have a feedlot meeting, very well-attended feedlot meeting, and the main topic there was a group of individuals that are looking to maybe scale back the rules on bringing in out-of-county manure in McLeod County. So we're kind of taking comments for the next few weeks, and our feedlot committee meeting will be meeting again in approximately a month, just to see where some of those ideas may take place. That would be step one of several steps to make any additions or changes to our feedlot ordinance, and that brings us up to today.
Okay. At or during the last meeting, we talked about the workshop and the ditch meeting that was in there. I teed it up a little bit earlier regarding the zoning issue we saw today. And ironically, I have a couple of them going in the district that I represent, and today we addressed one of them. I thought the applicant did a nice job of explaining his plan. Unfortunately, I feel we did the right thing in denying it until that plan is a little bit more rock solid. The other issue that I'm working on, and the phone calls and messages have been wonderful, but the research that goes in after that, along with the zoning department and on your own, just how the ordinances are laid out, right or wrong, that's how they're laid out. In this particular issue, it's a conservation district piece that comes into it. So there's a lot of moving parts into that. So I appreciate the staff's assistance. To me, obviously, we all have to do some on our own to make sure we know where we're at, but those do become quite complicated with the ordinances that are in place, and none of us are looking to stifle anything, but there are some things that we need to talk about and go through that. Other than that, some personnel related issues that are constant, and just some other random phone calls. So, Nathan?
Thank you, Commissioner. Like the other commissioners have stated, we had a workshop held after our last county board meeting. And then fortunately for me, I had a light couple of weeks here. I was able to take some personal time off during one of those weeks. And then last week I fielded a couple of conversations about the upcoming construction activities on County Road 1 planned for this year, and also the upcoming construction activity on County Road 5 programmed into 2026. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
After our last meeting with the workshop and the ditch meeting, on that following Wednesday, the 19th, I did attend that AMC Lunch and Learn for the Child Protection. Again, it's something that don't normally deal with, so it was kind of nice to, hear a little bit on that to get started on that. I also attended the pipeline safety training with Commissioner Kruger that night, and, I didn't realize that there's that many natural gas lines that run through our county, so that was very informational. I'm glad I went, and I will probably go to that again every year. It just seems something beneficial. On Thursday, the 20th, we had an employee enrichment and development meeting here, and that was fun. There's a lot of fun things they're looking at doing this next year, so I hope you guys have a chance to attend some of them, whether it be the after-work things or just some things during the day that they're planning. And then that night, I had Pioneer Library in Wilmer that I went to. Monday, the 24th, I did attend the informational meeting on the CD 12A, since part of that is in Sumter Township. On Wednesday, the 28th, I had planning and zoning in the morning. And that brings us to today. Thank you.
Attorney's office?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One thing Board Chair Nagel knows is that he and I routinely meet with our county law library, our other members and other court staff that assist. Just putting a plug there, we're renewing Tier 3 and Tier 3, or Tier 2 and Tier 3 agreements with the State Law Library. They provide resources and updated information for our law library here in the county. That's located on the second floor of the courthouse. We also have a legal database for members of the public to use. It's a nice space. We've been working to improve it. Given the legal database and the other print materials there, there really is access to a wealth of legal materials, and that's open to the public, anytime the courthouse is open, essentially. So I just wanted to let you all know that there's been some positive things happening there, and the public can sure use it if needed. So, thank you.
Thank you. Administration?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A, notification of a solid waste committee meeting, which is the McLeod County Board of Commissioners by resolution at 9:30 a.m. on Friday, March 21, 2025, at the McLeod County Environmental Services Building, 1065 Fifth Avenue Southeast, Hutchinson, Minnesota. Item B, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on Tuesday, March 18, 2025, at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota. That is all I have. Thank you.
All right, to our agenda, open forum. Anyone wish to address the board? We do have a workshop, rather lengthy one after this, with a variety of in-depth topics. Press relations, seeing none, looking for a motion to recess till our next board meeting, 9 a.m., Tuesday, March 18th, at the McLeod Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota.
Move recess, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll take 5 minutes and start the workshop.